What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Excuse me!
RadioWhat.com.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Yeah, I said it, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. You know, I like to party with the people. Karaoke jams, video dance parties, you know, all kinds of parties where the people need to be entertained. Speaking of the people need to be entertained, today on the program, I have Jay Gordon. Jay Gordon. Yeah, the Jay Gordon. That one. Oh, you still don't know who I'm talking about? Well, you stick around. He'll be in your ears in the next few minutes. Yeah. This week's shows. Yes, this is the part of the program where I promote the shows that are coming up this week. Public shows and the private shows that I'm doing. Well, due to the novel COVID-19 coronavirus, I have no public shows. I have no private shows. I have podcasts. That's right. I get to talk to people, and you get to benefit from those talks and listen to them in your ears. All right. Without any further ado, let's get into it with Jay Gordon. Calling Jay Gordon now.
Hello.
Jay Gordon, please.
Jay speaking. Is this Dan?
This is Dan. Oh, my goodness. I am speaking to the legendary Jay Gordon, blues musician. The excitement is on. Oh, my goodness. You are legit, man. You are legit.
Oh, you did a little history on me then?
Oh, you better believe it, man. I'm listening to all your stuff, man, especially. All right. I can't talk about Jay Gordon, blues musician, without talking about his lady love, Sharon Butcher. You know,
oh, there you go.
She is definitely the one that's promoting you the best. I know she's right at your side while you're on stage. You know, let's back up a little bit. Jay Gordon, tell the people a little bit about who you are.
Well, you know, I'm just a guy who really believes in music thoroughly and totally, and that's what I do. I've been doing it my whole life, and that's my passion. You know, music is my, you know, it's like a religion to me, man. I mean, I can't get enough of it. I live, eat, and breathe it, and I've been doing that for a long, long time.
Well,
I just love to play. I love playing, and I really enjoy playing in front of people. You know, I play for the people. I just don't play for me. I love playing live in front of audiences, whether they're huge or small. Sometimes little intimate venues are even nice. You know.
Well, that's what a performer does, man. Yeah.
I just love to play, bro. I love to sing and play and write, and you know that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Well, let's go there. I mean, we can do the comparison. Do you like? Okay, you say you like playing live, but is there? Well, there's definitely worth to recording your music, going into a studio and recording the music. That's one side of it. But going out and playing live, that's your passion. That's where you want to be, feeling the energy from the people. Is that what I'm understanding?
Oh, yeah, I feed, exactly. Yeah, I feed off the people. I mean, but you know, like when I do record, I record live. You know, I record like I'm doing a gig. You know, I make records the old-fashioned way, the way records should be made, in my opinion. You know, I play as a unit. We play as a band, just like I'm doing a gig. We set up. We're in the same room. I just baffle things off, mic things, get a good direct mix, and go. So all my records are basically recorded live. You know. Very few of the 18 albums I have overdubs on. Very few. It's just the way it is.
That is nearly unheard of. Yeah, that's nearly unheard of. I've been to Sun Records out in Memphis, and I know they have the studio, and you see pictures of people that the whole band sets up and plays.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's how I record. You know, I rehearse the band. You know, I make sure the band is super tight when we go in, and we just go for it. And that's how I make records. And then the only thing I really do overdub are my vocal lines. And then sometimes I even keep the scratch vocals. It depends, But I record the old way, the way records were made in the beginning. And because when I do go out and play live, I want to sound exactly like that record. I don't want to sound, I don't want to sit there and layer 8 or 9, 4 or 5 rhythm guitar parts and 3 leads and 2 harmony tracks and go out and play, it wouldn't sound like that. So my records sound like what I sound like live. And that's what I try to capture. So when people do buy my product, they're basically getting a real deal,
I think you're a smart man, Jay Gordon. It seems like if you play exactly if you do it that way, you're going to be able to play exactly how you heard it, or pretty closely to how you heard it on the album.
Yeah.
And the
exactly.
fans like to sing along. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's how I make records anyway. But I've made records in many different formats, in many different situations with other people where I've just been like, what would you say, a highlighted guitar player on someone else's record. Somebody wanted me to play on their tracks and everything was pre-recorded, and I just go in and play my own track to their record. I've done stuff like that too.
So not only the front man of your own bands, but also a hired gun.
Yeah. When I'm asked, and when I, the only time I've done that is I really have to believe in what those other people are recording. You know what I mean? I just don't do it for the money. People would call me and they go, Jay, would you like to play on this track? And I'd go, well, send me your music, because it's got to hit me first before I, want to get even involved in it. I got to appreciate what they're doing, and I got to love it as much as what I love what I do. And then I love doing that with other people, and I love other people's stuff,
Jay Gordon, you're teaching people how to do it, man, and doing it right. Now, you say you've been doing this your whole life. When did you start playing music, and was guitar the first instrument, and who turned you on to music anyway?
Well, actually, I come from a pretty musical family, but it was mainly my grandmother. My grandmother played piano and Hammond B3, and she played in churches. She played a lot of gospel music, and then she played a lot of jazz and a lot of blues. So she was into gospel, jazz, and blues. So ever since I can remember, there was a piano around. So I guess I started banging on that before I got a guitar. So I was always fooling around with a piano and picking things out. And she was showing me. By the time I was 5 or 6, I was banging on a piano. And then really when I was 9, I got a guitar. I asked for a guitar, and they got me a guitar.
Who's they?
And I started, my grandmother and my mother.
No kidding.
Got me a guitar. They knew it was in me because that's all I did. That's all I wanted to do. Even when I was a young guy, I just wanted to play music. So they knew that. I started playing guitar.
Did you remember what kind of guitar it was?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was a Silvertone from Sears.
Electric
guitar, yeah. It was a Silvertone.
Wow, you started on electric. Excellent.
And then I had an acoustic guitar. But I played slide. I played slide guitar for like 10 years, and I used to just try to emulate the old blues guys because my grandmother, was really into the blues and jazz and gospel. So I started to emulate, like Lightning Hopkins, Son House, Robert Johnson, the Mississippi Delta guys, And then, so for about 10 years, I really just played in open tunings. Like I would tune the guitar to open G, open E, open A, open D, and stuff like they would. And then, my grandmother, she said to me, she says, well, you're kind of stuck in a box there, She says, you've been doing that a long time, So tuned the guitar to 440, and that's when I tuned the 440 concert pitch, and then I started playing, as I say, guitar the right way, you know what I mean? It's not the wrong way or the right way. It's just, you could play much more when the guitar is tuned to 440 than you can play in open chords. It's a whole different thing. But it's all good, music is music, and when it's good, it's good. When the music is good, it's good. And when it's not, the one thing I really love about music is it's the only thing in the world that don't lie to you. See, music doesn't lie to you. When it's good, it's good because it sounds good. And when it sounds good, it's right. You can hear when you're playing out of key. You can hear when you're singing off key. So that's what I mean when music does not lie to you. I think it's the most perfect language on the planet.
Jay
that brings
Gordon,
people together.
when you were explaining that tuning of the guitar, I understood about 3 of those words, but they were fascinating. The explanation is fascinating. I have 3 guitars. I have 2 electric guitars and 1 acoustic guitar. I can't hardly play a lick, but I'm fascinated by watching your fingers move while you're playing this
Oh,
guitar.
thank you.
The latest video, the one that's featured on your website, of course, is the Crossroads video, and it's you and your girls at the side. I don't know who the drummer is. I guess you could shout out the band out there.
Yeah, that was on the Crossroads video. That's Rick Daly playing drums. His name is Rick Daly. He's played on quite a few albums with me. We go back about 20 years. Rick's played on maybe 5 or 6 different albums on different tracks, and that's Sharon Butcher playing bass, and that's me on guitar. And that was actually recorded by the Gretsch Guitar Company. I'm endorsed by Gretsch Guitars.
I notice you're playing a Gretsch, man. I spent a lot of time in Guitar Center, and I like the Gretsch. I know who is it? The Stray Cats play the Gretsch,
Yeah.
right? And is it the same
Brian-
kind of guitar?
Yeah,
Brian
Brian-
Setzer?
Brian Setzer. Yeah, he's a Gretsch guy too. Yeah, I like Brian's playing. I like it. I like the rockabilly thing.
Definitely like the rockabilly, but you can get a lot more blues feel out of the Gretsch. What made you choose Gretsch out of all the guitars in the whole wide world? What made you choose Gretsch?
Well, I played Strats for a long time. I did have an endorsement with Fender for a while, and when I first started playing, I told you I had that that weird guitar from Sears, a Silvertone. But back then, I thought that was it.
Yeah.
But anyway, throughout the years, I wound up. Gibson was actually my favorite guitars in the beginning. I played Gibson Firebirds and Gibson Les Pauls. Religiously, I had Firebirds and Les Pauls.
Classic
And
guitar.
then a lot of my stuff was a lot of those guitars got stolen a long time ago, called Mason Prophet. This goes back a long time ago. He gave me a Strat when my stuff was stolen, and I had that Strat for years. And then I started playing Strats, and that's all I played was Strats, and Gibsons. And about 3 years ago, I was at the NAMM show, and I was coming out of the Fender booth, and I met the Gretsch people, and I went in there, and hey Jay, what's happening? And we kind of got acquainted, and I started playing a lot of the new models of the Gretsch, and I really liked the tone and the feel and the sound. And then we just kind of started working together. So for the last three and a half years, I've been a Gretsch guy, and I live, eat, and breathe Gretsch guitars now.
Well, that says a lot about your musicianship when a guitar company, such as Gretsch or even Fender, just puts their guitar in your hands because they feel, hey, if it's in your hands, in the hands of a true musician, they're going to sell more guitars, and I feel that to be true, man.
So anyway, back to when I was 9, when I started on the guitar, I played piano too, but I also played drums and bass. My whole basement was like a music store. Like every week I wanted another instrument when I was a kid. I think I drove my parents crazy, but they were very supportive of me, especially my grandmother. My grandmother was the one who really enjoyed me being in the music. My mother was a painter. She was an artist. She had a degree in art. She painted. And, she was an incredible artist. But that was her trip, And, but the granny was the musician and singer. She had a beautiful voice. And then the 3 daughters, I guess, they used to sing together on radio. My grandma would play, and then with the 3 daughters she had, they would sing, and she told me all about that. But I played drums. I had a drum kit down there, so I was always banging on drums. And then I had a bass. I had a piano. I had a Hammond. I tried, I had an alto sax for a long time. I played alto. I played flute. And violin. I tried. I wish I would have, kept up with that violin, dude. But it just didn't. It didn't feel right to me. So out of all the instruments that I, did have, the guitar was my voice. I always felt comfortable on the guitar. So that's my main instrument. That's me. But when I was younger, I was in bands where I've actually I was in bands where, I played drums, I played bass, I played guitar, and we'd switch, I had a lot of bands where everybody was multi-talented, and we would do that.
Now,
and,
did you ever switch in the middle of a performance where you slid over
we did
one?
That a lot.
No way.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I was just when I was 13.
Yeah,
I got my first. I got my first little record deal when I was 13 in
no
Chicago.
kidding.
Yeah, with a little small record label. They used to have these battle of the bands, and I was in a band. I was 13, and we had a band called the Strays, and these other guys were like 19 and 20. They were much older than me, They had, which was cool. They had driver's licenses and girlfriends, and I was 13. I was with all these guys. And we had a band, and we rehearsed, 5-6 days a week, in my basement, and then it was at McCormick Place in Chicago when we did this big talent contest, and we won like third place out of like thousands of bands, And I was a kid, it was incredible. And so we got this little record deal. So we went in and we cut a single in. And that was the first time I went into the studio when I was 13, and I'll never forget that. And then I got so involved in the recording process, being in the studio when you're that young, I didn't know shit, really. I didn't know nothing. And it was like, it was like being, in a rocket ship,
Yeah, but do you remember what song that was and who put that song together? Who wrote it?
Yeah, I was in a band. The lead singer, he sang it. His name was James Merrill, and he was an incredible guitar player and singer and songwriter. And he was an artist also. He painted. Just an amazing talented person. And his cousin Corman was in that band, and then we had a Chinese bass player, Thomas Ng, and his family owned a laundry. It was weird, but it was
How
cool.
typical
It was
is that?
cool. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was cool. I mean,
That's cool.
And that band, that band lasted, for about 3 or 4 years, and then I started playing with a lot of blues, really, like major Chicago blues artists when I was like 16, 17, and 18, because my grandmother would take me to all the blues clubs on the South Side. And, I met Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon and Buddy Guy and Junior Wells and Etta James and Johnny Silver Dollar and Lefty Diz and, Luther Allison, and the list goes on and on, So the first blues gig I did was with a guy named Andrew Blue Blood McMahon. What a name, huh?
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's great. As I said, what a name. Andrew Blue Blood McMahon. Now, he was originally the bass player in Howlin' Wolf's band. Howlin' Wolf?
Howlin' Wolf, yeah.
Yeah, so he went on his own, and then that was the first blues gig I did up in Carbondale, Illinois, at this college. And it was, it was amazing, dude. It was just, but that's how I got into it, listening, my grandma was into blues and jazz, and then she would take me to all these places, and then I started meeting all these legends when I was a kid,
Oh my goodness, you were brushing with greatness.
Then it just progressed from there, things just progressed, and then I wound up, doing. I was on a label called Wooden Nickel Records. Styx was on that label. REO Speedwagon. Ohio Players, Styx, a Siegel Schwall Blues Band. Styx was a big independent label out of Chicago. They were huge,
Styx was fantastic.
I wound up, when I was 16 or 17, recording on Wooden Nickel with a lot of other bands that I was in. And then, I just kept writing and singing. I'll tell you an interesting story. Like when you're young, with a kid like that, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18, 19, 20 years old, the blues was always my favorite music. I mean, because it's the true foundation of all American music.
Yeah.
And I felt that when I was a young man. I knew that this music, if it wasn't for the blues, there wouldn't have been no rock music, there wouldn't have been no metal, there wouldn't have been no country, nothing. I mean, that's the most important music in America is the blues, because everything else comes from it. All the other forms of American music comes from the blues. So when I was young like that, most white kids, like myself, they did, no, I don't want to play that music. I'm not interested in that. What do you see in that music? So I wound up playing in a lot of cover bands, Beatles, rock bands. I was in a lot of rock and roll bands, cover bands, and I didn't really want to do that because one time, I locked myself in a room for about a year and I learned every note for note, lick for lick of the first Johnny Winter album. And so, Johnny Winter, the first progressive blues experiment record. And, I just love Johnny, and,
that's so funny. He came up yesterday in my family. There was an albino up on the big screen. And I said, hey, he looks like Johnny Winter.
Well, anyway, so I was a big Johnny Winter nut, the biggest in the world, I thought. So I locked myself in that room and I learned note for note, song for song, everything. And I told my grandmother, I said, hey, Granny, hey, come here, man, I want to play something for you. So I put the turntable on and she sat there and I played the whole record. And she told me, after I was done, she told me, well, that's pretty good, kid, but you sound like bird shit.
Oh.
And I said, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean? That's pretty good. She said, no, Jay, now you're a clone. She said, you got a problem. And I said, really? And she said, listen, it's okay to steal from people and borrow segments. When you hear something, everybody rips everybody off to a certain point. Like when you're first, learning, when you hear something you like, you go, oh shit, I got to learn it. How did you do that? So you learn that lick, But anyway, that's when she told me, she says, hey, if you ever want to make a statement in music, she said, you've been doing this for a while. She said, just write your own music and be your own guy, find your own voice, and don't be concerned with what anyone else is doing with music. Find your own voice and create your own thing with it. And that's the only way you're going to be something in the field of music. So I just started writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And then all of a sudden I was never in cover bands no more. I always had original bands. And I just did my thing. I just wrote the tunes and that's what I've been doing ever since. But
so what year was this and when was the turning point? What year did you start writing?
Oh, shit. I don't want to tell you that.
Oh, come on. I'm 51 years old. I'm not worried about my age anymore.
Hey, I look good. Hey, I'm 178, but I look impeccable. No. But anyway, I started really writing when I was 13.
Yeah.
I really did start writing. Even when I started playing at 9, I would come up with little things. But when I really got serious about writing songs, I'd say I was about 17, and I started going in a studio called Paragon Studios in Chicago and Enterprise, and those two studios became my professional home. And I always had bands, and I was always doing demos and doing everything. Just constantly. I just spent a lot of money, dude. When I was a kid, I just thousands and thousands. I'm still sitting on four albums that the world's never heard that I recorded in from really shit. I hate it. Yeah, it seems like yesterday, but I'd say from 75 to 80, I got stuff I got about 4 albums that nobody's heard.
Man, you got stuff from way back in the 1900s. The people got to hear that stuff, man. I'm sure it's good. Yeah. You took the time to lay it down, put it out there.
Yeah, I got a lot of good. I've written some great stuff, but I've trashed a lot too. It's like when I do albums, even to this day, like all the albums I've done, I'm very proud of the work I've done, because I don't think I ever really made a bad album, because that's what was happening in that time, and that's how I felt. And when I didn't like a track, I'd take it off. I didn't just want to make records with fillers on it. Way too many records are made like that. Way too many albums are made like that, where you go out and spend $15, $16 on an album, and there was maybe 2 good songs, and the rest of it was like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
You probably have experienced that. So I always wanted albums to have a lot of content, and I wanted them to flow to where they fit together, to where it was like it's like where you had a blank canvas and you filled it in, and it all made sense.
Well, I remember buying records, that's for sure, and getting one good track or 2 good tracks, and I think that's what the record companies want. They want you to put out a single or 2, and whatever else. Hey, I need you to
Well, in the
fill this
beginning,
out.
it was like in the beginning, it was all about the singles, and then when FM radio hit, it was like album concept. It was like, oh, let's do a concept album.
Right.
So then it was, which I miss those days.
Oh, of course, man. With the getting a big record, looking at the liner notes while you're listening to that thing, it's beautiful.
I miss that. But the thing is, I did this interview, I don't know, about a month ago, and we started talking about how music has changed with the digital age and this and that, and it got way out of hand, because there's pros and cons about everything. So if I were to think, even though I particularly don't care the way things are going, like, since '99, since Napster and everything went digital, and, I think that the record industry kind of got completely screwed. I don't know what you think, but it's, it just happened. Things happen. Things grow. Things change. Nothing stays the same. So the thing is, you got to go with the flow, bro.
Oh yeah.
So
it made the creators. It made the creator more creative. Yes, you're not making a lot of money on records anymore.
No, and and I miss that.
Yeah.
I used to put out albums, and I had big distribution through Tower and Virgin. The Virgin Megastores in Tower.
Sure.
My music was on all the listening posts. I'd go into a Tower Records and I could see my stuff right there. And, you could, Jay Gordon, people could just put the phones on and listen to it right there. And if they like it, and, bang, I sold lots and lots and lots of units back then, more units back then than now, because people don't really buy physical product like they used to. Things are, the industry's different. But I'm not going to sing the blues about it, because you got to go with the flow, and you got to, I'm not going to sit here. You have to reinvigorate, not reinvent, but you have to. There's always new things to try, and there's always a way to get your stuff out there.
So how have you changed? How have you adapted? I noticed that you put your stuff on YouTube out there, digitally.
Well,
how have you adapted?
My main thing is live performances. Still to this day, that's what I like to do. But I find myself always tweeting, emailing, putting my stuff on blues groups, and before I never did that. I never did that.
20 years ago, that was unheard of. What's a tweet?
Yeah. I mean, so it's all new to me too, So I'm like, but I'm kind of having fun with it,
Yeah.
And, I look at it like, hey, this is cool, it's all right. And the internet is powerful. You can reach anybody. So I mean, there's, I love it. It is what it is.
And do you have your fans that respond to you, and do you respond to your fans as well?
I try to get back to as many people as possible, but sometimes I get so many emails I can't get back to everybody. But I tried, I've been all over the world. I was on a French record label for a while, and from 2000, I think it was 2000 to 2006, I would go to France, Switzerland, Amsterdam, Germany. I was on a French record label, and I did really good in the European market. And like I said, things happen and everything comes to a halt. And the guy who ran this label, we did really well together, and then all of a sudden, something happened, But in my book and in the movie that I'm doing, I'm putting together, not myself, with the help of some other people that do it the right way. We're going to do a whole documentary of my world in the music industry, and it's going to talk about, kind of like how it started, where it went, and how I hung in there so long, And most people I know fell by the wayside, because it's a tough business. The music industry's tough,
Jay Gordon, is this going to be a biopic or a documentary?
It's a documentary of my whole life, about who I've played with, labels I've been on, deals that I had that would have been astronomically huge, but I didn't do it because I didn't want to give away my publishing, stuff like that. It's who I was around, who I played with, different artists, all the great people who I had a chance to be around in life, and the good things and the bad things. I'm just let it all fly.
That's fantastic, man. To have a story of your life out there. Who's helping you put that together?
Well, my old manager, the guy's name is Lawrence Smith.
Mm.
Now, Lawrence, he did all the videos for the Doors on Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Bruce Botnick produced the Doors, their music, but Lawrence Smith was involved with a show called Hollywood Heartbeat. He was, he did stuff with Dick Clark, and then he did all the videos on Warner's for the Doors. And he was my manager from like 97 to 2001. And then we just stopped. And, I'm not going to tell you why.
No problem. Things happen.
but the funny thing is, we didn't talk for 19 years.
Yeah.
And a couple of months ago, Lawrence and I talked. And, so we're going to put this thing together. And it's going to be great, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Sometimes it's nice to reconnect with people. And does he have a lot of video from back in the day, from when you were doing things?
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of footage. And I have, the bummer thing is I've had footage from the 70s, late 70s all the way to now. And a lot of that stuff, because I moved and things happened, and a lot of stuff got kind of ripped off from me, a lot of footage. So there's a lot of footage out there if somebody has, but I still have a lot from the 80s all the way up till now. So the documentary will be footage, pictures, myself talking, and then people out that are still alive that have worked with me will be in it. And it'll be interesting. It's not just about me; it's about people I've worked with also. So you got to give everybody their kudos.
Absolutely, you got to give credit where credit is due. I know you had brushes with greatness, and the one thing that I'm taking so far is your grandma was a wonderful lady, man.
Oh, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't. I don't know what would have happened to me, because she was like a rock to me. I've had a crazy life, and but she was always do your best. Stay kind of straight and narrow, just focus, do your thing. And she always told me I was no good, even when I was good. That was her way of pushing me. She would say, "No, you can play that better. You can play that a lot better. You go back in there."
Wow.
So she pushed me. She would tell me, like I said, that word bird shit. She would always tell me, "Yeah, sound like bird shit, kid." Even when I did sound good, she'd tell me that. She goes, "Hey, now, you need more notes. You need more chops. Go back in the woodshed." So she was a great woman. She sang great, and she was focused, and she was spiritually intact. She was very comfortable with who she was as a person in life. And I miss her. She was great. She was fabulous.
Well, between having her and living in the Chicago area, you couldn't do anything else but be into the blues. Yes, you played a little rock, you played a little this, a little of that, but the blues,
well,
man.
I'll tell you. Well, I played a lot of rock, but the blues was my main. It's still my main thing, but I mix rock with it.
Yeah.
You can see them. I try to show the marriage between blues and rock. I try to take it a little further outside the box.
Right. You don't want to put yourself in a little boch anyway. You want to be able to play anything you want.
Yeah. If I want to play jazz riffs there, I will. It's kind of like it's like a gumbo. A little bit of everything. But anyway, when I was it was funny because in the documentary, I'm going to talk about my relationship with the band Black Sabbath, which is very, very interesting. And it's a very interesting story, let me tell you.
Give a little taste.
I acquired Tony Iommi's guitar in the 70s, in the late 70s. And I bought it on the black market in Chicago. And, that was a 1964 Gibson SG. It was strung left-handed, and it had John Birchman pickups on it. It had a little monkey playing a fiddle. So, but anyway, it was the authentic guitar. So I'm going to tell people how I acquired it, and I returned it to Tony personally.
Wow.
I had that guitar sat in my closet for a year and a half after I purchased it. My mother goes, "What are you doing with that guitar?" I said, "Well, it's stolen. This is a stolen guitar." She says, "What are you going to do with it?" I said, "I'm going to return it." I said, "If my stuff was stolen, I'd want it back." So the story starts how I bought it, how I returned it, how I had it for a year and a half, and then how I got involved with Warner Brothers. Ron Goldstein was the president at the time. And then Mark Forrester was the guy who actually managed Black Sabbath back then, and he also managed Dave Clark 5 and Petula Clark. And me and him, we built up this rapport. We built up this friendship for a year and a half on the telephone. And he kept telling me, hey, send the guitar back to St. John Woods, London. I said, no, I'm going to return it to you when you come to the States. And I said, I don't even want my money back for the guitar. I paid $500. I don't even want the $500 back. I just want to meet the band and meet you. And so the rest of the story is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How I returned it. It goes into a lot of stuff. And the world's going to find out a lot of cool stuff about that story.
I'm sure Mr. Iommi was very appreciative to get his guitar back. Yeah, you held it a little hostage. You wanted to meet the band first, and that's just a small price to pay. No big deal.
I did want to, the record company Warner's goes, well, just send it here. I said, I'm not going to do that. And all these phone conversations were taped, see, so I still got them. I had a little tape recorder, and I put a suction cup on my phone, and I even called up Lloyd's in London and told them I had contraband in the United States and it don't belong here. I want you guys to know that I got it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to return it this way. So what happened was I did a personal showcase for Sabbath, and I had a great rock and roll band then, and was writing great songs, and I rented a big studio called SIR Studios, and they came down, and I gave him his guitar back, and the guy was flabbergasted. He actually broke down in tears,
Oh, how sweet is that?
And he was, so I met the whole band, and we played 90 minutes, and then the PA system blew up, and it was weird, the PA blew up after about 85 minutes, and then I gave him the guitar back, and the whole band was there, and then the manager, and then I went to their show, the International Amphitheater, for 2 nights in a row. So all this stuff is in there,
Fantastic.
but there's a lot more that happened that the world needs to know.
Man,
and I gotta be very diplomatic of how I tell the story. And I have all the pictures of me with the guitar. I have all the letters from Warner's, and I have the letters from their attorney and their management company. And I told the story to a friend of mine who runs the Rock and Roll Walk of Fame in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The Guitar Center there.
Well, Iommi's on that Walk of Fame.
Yeah, well, I told the story. My buddy Dave Weiderman ran that place, and I told him the story, and he wrote like a 30-page synopsis because he thinks it should be a motion picture because it's part of rock and roll history. And he says, Jay, you're part of rock and roll history, brother. And he says but there's a lot in that story. There's a lot of black magic. There's a lot of voodoo. A lot of drugs. There's a lot of rock and roll back then, brother. There's a lot of shit. It's a great story, and I'm gonna stop right now. But anyway,
and that's just a little taste for us right here, man.
That's a little taste, but it's all true.
Oh my goodness, Jay Gordon, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I want to see it on my.
Another thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's another. That's part of the documentary, and then with everybody I worked with, and there's going to be some cool stories. Some funny. A lot of funny things happen in the music business.
Man, I like hearing cool stories, and I've talked to some musicians from the 70s and 80s, and 86 is when I graduated high school, so that's where my area of expertise. But even before that, of course, my mom and dad teaching me how to about music and different things. But I got a love for the blues.
I got the new record, Slide Rules. Right, my new album came out last November.
Hey, all right.
November 15th. And that was called Slide Rules. And that record did really good. And I had Frank Rozak. He did radio and publicity for me. Frank, he's a good man. He really knows what he's doing. And I got tons of airplay. If you go to my website, bluesvenom.com, and you go to media and you punch radio right above media, you'll see all the stations. There's hundreds.
I'm seeing
hundreds.
There's a list.
There must be.
Long.
Yeah, there must be over 1,000 stations on there that record has been played on internationally, and I got really good positive reviews. I think I'm batting about 98, 99% as far as positive reviews on the record. But you can't please everybody, even when you've got it together.
Oh yeah, there's always.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody digs it. Not everybody digs the Stones. Not everybody digs Hendrix or the Beatles. Music is very subjective to one's own ear. So, but the people that dig my stuff, I play for the fans. I became like a cult. I don't know if I should use that word, but more underground cult guitar player. I mean, a lot of people know who I am. Millions of people heard my music.
Yeah, you've got a following. I had a gentleman from California ask me about this particular interview, this conversation that we're having right now. Where can he hear it? And I said, "Oh, I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to put it out about an hour or two afterwards. Don't worry, it'll be out tonight."
But the whole thing is, like to get back to the music, because sometimes when we're doing reviews, you never really know what somebody's going to ask me, and I try not to talk about the politics or the religion or anything. It's all music. I'm a very positive guy, and I love what I do, and I love what a lot of other people do. When I hear something that I like that someone else is doing, I go, "Oh, who's that?" Because there's room for everybody. There's room for everybody, and we're all in this together. That's my opinion.
Well,
we're all on this planet. I mean, we're all connected, whether you like it or not. We're all connected by the creation, bro. And that's why music is so powerful. Music brings everybody together from all walks of life, no matter what color you are, no matter what you do. Music is. I think it's pretty intellectual. The majority of it is. Even blues, brother. A lot of cats go, "Well, you're playing, that 12 bar stuff." But let me tell you, blues. The format may be simple, some of it, but you have to be a really good cook to make it sound interesting.
Oh yeah, I like a good stop blues. That's my favorite.
I mean, you really got to be a good cook, and what I mean by that, you got to have chops, and you got to know where to place them, what not to play, when to play, and that you can't teach people that. Like people have asked me, they go, "Hey Jay, can you show me, how to do that?" And I go, "Well, I give you an idea, but it's never going to sound like me. Just like I'm not going to, I'll never sound. I mean, realistically, if I copied a BB King solo to the T, it still wouldn't sound like BB. You're just playing the notes, but the passion and the feeling, you're not that man. So that's what's so important, for people out there, younger players or even older players or, intermediate players or guys that just are weekend warriors,
Well, you've been on stage with BB King and Lucille. How did that feel?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I knew. I've been around everybody, BB King, Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, Clapton, you name it. I mean, I've been there, But the point of it is, you got to be your own guy with this thing, You got to have your own voice. And if you really believe in what you do, you're addicted. And you just, me, I'm going to do this forever, Whether I make a fortune at it, and I've done pretty well. And I've done, up and down. Music is up and down. Life is up and down. That's what makes life interesting. It's a journey. Everybody has a journey, And I'm one of these guys. Even when my journey has been at the worst, I've always looked at the better side of the outcome because I've learned from the negative things and I've learned from my mistakes. And so the negative and the positive is like yin and yang. It's a balance. So that's how I look at just my life in general and even other people's lives. And look what's going on today. That's a whole nother story. And if we get into that, you'll be on the phone with me for 10 hours.
I got 10 hours. Go for it. How has this novel COVID-19 coronavirus affected you, Jay Gordon?
I don't let it affect me. It affects the world in a negative manner. And I feel bad for the world. And I somehow, some way, I would really like to see the world heal itself and have people not so freaked out with something that may not be as bad as it appears to be.
Well, in some respects, the world is definitely healing because of this. People aren't going to parks, so guess what? There's more animals out there at the parks. The place is being overgrown. The air is clean.
What I'm saying to you is it's terrible. Still, it's horrible.
Yeah.
What happened, but it affected me as far as live performances and live shows. Yeah, because I was working on a big European tour, and about 2 weeks before this thing really got blown out, a proportion, or
I hope that
Whatever it is.
history shows that we went too far. Okay, the only reason we're really scared of it, we don't have a cure. That's
Yeah,
just
we
my humble-
so we don't know what it is. I mean, you hear one thing, you hear another thing, you hear another thing. So you got to really do your research on it to really grasp it and feel it. I think
Right.
So it's but it's sad. The whole thing is sad. I don't like to see the world feeling uptight. But it is what it is, and I'm sure it's going to get better no matter what happens. Like I said, even from the negative things, you always learn something from anything negative. And
Well,
I try to stay.
Now that you haven't been able to go out on that tour, that European tour, how has it changed you creatively? Are you one of these people that are doing the online?
No. See, no, I don't. No, I haven't done that.
Okay.
I did not do that. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do that and go. It wasn't for me. I could do that. Everybody asked me, Jay, how come you're not doing that? I'm going because I just don't want to, because to me it's I like playing in front of people. I like the energy, bro. I like the energy. I like people. See, I'm a people person, so I like to play live. But I did not post anything from my house, me singing, playing, or anything like that. I didn't. And people ask me all the time to do it. And I go, well, maybe I'll get to it,
Well, hopefully, at least with this that you're doing right now, people are going to remember. Hey, whatever happened to Jay Gordon? Oh, he's still out there. He's still doing stuff.
Well, I'm still out there because I'm getting a lot of airplay all over the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to touch base.
And I'm doing this, and I'm very blessed to be on the phone with you doing this interview.
Yeah,
but I haven't really posted anything. I thought about getting a band together and playing and all that. And I go, I'm not going to do that.
Or at least you and Sharon just sit on the couch and tell the people that what you're up to, or touch base.
Well, I might do that. I'll probably put something together like that. But no, I play a lot of guitar, bro. I don't really go. I go to the store or get gas, or I got to do what I got to do. You got to eat. But I'm being very careful. Just like everyone else.
Right. Right.
But I spend a lot of time playing guitar.
Excellent.
I mean, I'm always trying to take what I do a little further. All the time, I'm always trying to learn new shit.
Yeah.
Come up with new riffs. Come up with really tight signature riffs, and I'm always writing, coming up with lyrics. And I got hundreds and hundreds of ideas for songs. I never got writer's block, or that's never happened to me. Somebody goes, oh, hey, I can't. I don't understand how that can happen to anybody, because there's so much going on in life. And there's always something to write about, Yeah. There's always something to write about. You could write about your friends, your family, your dog, your fish. I mean, world issues, whatever you want to write. There's always something,
Well, have you set up a little recording studio in your house that you're able to lay some tracks down, or whenever an idea comes up?
I just record my ideas on a tape machine,
Yeah.
Like a little cassette. I'll come up with a riff and I'll play that riff. I must have 300 or 400 or 500 ideas. Just sometimes I use the phone. I got little sections on phones. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. As a creator, you definitely don't want to lose that stuff.
So come up with a
great riff. I hope you can record it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'm always recording, and I'm always coming up with songs, and my whole thing is music, bro. I mean, that's it. I'm a very simple guy. I just want to play guitar and write songs, and that's what I do. That's what I've been doing my whole life. That's the only enjoyment that turns me on.
It's exactly what you do. I mean, I watch your face while you're playing guitar. You could feel it. I could feel the energy, the concentration that you're putting into it when you play the guitar. It's an extension of you. It's a part of you. I can feel that. Oh, for sure.
Well, that means I'm doing it right. See, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is to let other people understand and feel what you do. If they don't feel what you're doing, then it's not worth doing.
Oh yeah, and you got the look of a.
But other than music, I like good films. I like good movies.
What are you watching these days while you're locked up?
A lot of science fiction and a lot of history channels. I like science and history and older films that I dig. I go back and I kind of pull it out on the DVDs. And I'm a big art buff. I like good art. Like I said, my mother was an artist, so So everything, my whole life has always been music, art, movies, and I love cars and motorcycles.
Well, you couldn't help it, man. You got your mom out there as an artist.
And
Where's all her
and
stuff?
you know, and good looking women. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you say your mom was an artist. Where's her stuff at? Does she have anything that
I have
that could be...
a lot of her stuff. I have in storage in Chicago. I got a lot of stuff there, and hopefully everything is still there. But I have a lot of her artwork, and she was dynamite, man.
Yeah,
she could paint anything. Let me tell you, if she saw your face for like 1 minute and you walked out of the room, she could draw you to the T. She was probably the best sketch artist I've ever seen in my life.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's how good she was at drawing. I mean, just look at you once and she could draw you to the T. But she did a lot of avant-garde stuff. I mean, she could paint anything from still life to futuristic art to, so whatever, she predicted her death, and she painted a picture of her own life and her own death, which was really bizarre. But I got, it's unbelievable.
That's some of that magic you were talking about earlier. There's magic all around you, man.
I think life is magical, Yeah. I think, I mean, look at the human body you have. Look at the brain. I mean, everything, everything comes from nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
you see that when you're raising kids. Do you have any kids?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I mean, you see that there's something that came from nothing, and you watch them grow into people.
Oh yeah. My one son, he's actually a filmmaker.
Fantastic.
And we won't go any further than that. But he's made some decent films. And my other guy is a drummer.
That's great. That's
great. And he's played on a couple. He's played on a couple records of mine.
Next generation, man. You've done it.
I got that, so yeah, I know what it's like to have children, and I know what it's like to be married umpteen times.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's magical, man. You have this thing that started from a little cell, and it became a person, an upstanding member of society, and you made that. You helped make that wonderful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's magic there.
Oh yeah. Well, life is magical, and I believe, as I said many times before, when you think positive and when you put out a good vibe into the world, good things happen for you. If you're negative and you're on the dark side all the time, that karma's going to hit you 10, 20 times worse. So it's always cool to be nice and don't say nothing bad about nobody.
So what got you out of Chicago?
I find myself sometimes doing interviews. I go, well, what do you think of so and so's music? What do you think of this guy or this guy? And here's what I always tell people. Listen, I'm not inside that guy's soul. So even if I don't like what that person's doing, I really can't judge it. All I can do is give you an opinion. And I don't want to give you an opinion on someone else's work, because that work he's done that I may not like may mean everything to him.
Yeah. People don't put something out there for no reason. They want somebody to appreciate it, just like you.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you don't have nothing nice to say about somebody, don't say it. Just keep it, because I love a lot of cats out there that play music, man. There's a lot of great players, and I think there's going to be a lot of great upcoming younger people that are influenced by blues. And my mission is to keep the blues alive and to show the marriage between rock music and jazz and everything. So I'm on a mission, me, myself, personally, I'm on a mission to really get not just my music out there, just the blues and find, a good song, man. I mean, Milt Tillis once told me, you remember Milt Tillis?
Who stuttered while he talked, but he sang like an angel.
Guy.
Perfect.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I was in Nashville with him once. And what's his daughter's name? Pam Tillis, right? Pam Tillis' daughter.
Possibly. I don't know right off, but yeah.
Pam Tillis' daughter. She's a country star. But I remember I was sitting in Mel's office, and he told me one time, I was out there. Actually, I was with him and Charlie Daniels, and I had a bunch of songs, and I was pitching songs. I write a lot of country music too. I write a good song's a good song, man. Whether it's country, rock, blues, jazz, ballads, whatever. If it has something to say, hook, line, and sinker, and you can make other people feel it, that's what it's about. But he once told me, he says, three chords in the truth says it all.
That's beautiful, man.
That's what he told me. That's what he told me. And it was weird because I think she was about 5 or 6 years old when she came into the room. And Milt told me, he goes, that's my daughter Pam. She's going to be a big star one day. And I said, yeah, I bet she will. But anyway, like stories like that will be in the book and in the film, all the people that have been around, from country music to blues players to rock players to even some metal cats I know, But
well, I think you just aged yourself.
I just what?
You just aged yourself.
Hey, I look good for 187. That's what I told you. I look impeccable.
You look wonderful.
Or I can tell people I'm 21. I just don't look good.
Hey, so man, what got you out of Chicago?
The cold weather.
I believe it. That's exactly what I was thinking, man. Because you ended up.
Now, let me tell you something. I love that town.
Yes.
That's a great. Chicago's still my hometown, even though I don't live there. I consider Chicago my home. I mean, I love that place, man.
Yeah.
I grew up there.
It gave you energy.
I grew up on the south side.
South side of Chicago.
I grew up in a very integrated area. A lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of blacks, a lot of whites, Polish, Italians. I mean, you name it, that was there. I got along with everybody. You had to get along with everybody. Mm-hmm. But anyway, then I moved. As I got older, I moved to the northwest side. It's all Italians, and it was just more of a white area. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the reason why I left Chicago.
Uh-huh.
Well, I never liked the cold weather, even when I was a kid. I just couldn't stand the cold weather. I hated it. Every time the winter time would come, I would hibernate like a bear. I just hated the cold weather. As a kid, I just couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I came to California. 2 reasons why I left. Mm-hmm. I was out here in 1978. I had to come out here to do some business, and then I loved it so much. I said, "Man, I'm going to move there." I love the West Coast, man. The weather. This is where it's at. So then, in '84, I put out this single, and it was called TTJL, and it was a song I wrote. It was a tribute to John Lennon. Huh. And it was weird because he was shot and gunned down in front of the Dakota Hotel in 1980, correct?
Yes.
So anyway, I had this dream, and this is in '84, the beginning of '84, and it was, and I had this dream, and I woke up in these lyrics. I wrote this song, and I woke up and I go, oh, and I knew the lyrics. The lyrics were embedded in my head. I woke up with this song, and it was about John Lennon's life and how he was shot and killed and gunned down and the whole thing. And it's a great song, It's kind of poppy, but it was still, it was a great song, great melody. So I went in the studio and I recorded it in Chicago at this place called Enterprise Studios with a cat named Bob Cater. This guy, Lenny LaCour, had this little Lake Records, I think it was, like Lake Michigan, Anyway, I recorded this song and I played all the instruments on it, except Bob played keyboards on it. I played bass, drums, and guitar, and I did all the vocals. And we put out this record, and then the B-side was a song called Make It On Your Own. And so anyway, it wound up on this little record label, and it started getting a lot of airplay, like on, all over the Midwest, And, then the guy was selling a record in music stores, and, he was doing really good, And somehow somebody got a hold of the record out here in Hollywood at the end of '84. Guy's name was Clive Davis. CSAC. You got ASCAP, BMI, then you have a CSAC.
I've never heard of CSAC, but I know the ASCAP and BMI. So that's
Well, CSAC is like they collected publishing music for publishers.
Sure.
And his father was Harry Fox, the Harry Fox Agency.
Okay.
And so his son was Clive Fox. Well, anyway, Clive heard this record and called me up and said, "Did you write that song?" And I said, "Yeah, man, that's my tune." He goes, "Dude, you got to come to California." So that was another reason why I came here. I was coming here anyway because I had to get out of the cold. That was the number one reason. But then I was offered a chance to do a thing with MCA Records. And I came out here in '85 in California, and I started recording some tracks, and we were going to put this record together with MCA. But then the record kind of turned out to be too much of a pop record, and I didn't care for it because I was more of a hard-edged type of cat. They tried to basically alter my music into like maybe like a Journey type band, Boston Journey or whatever.
Well, that's what
And
happens
I
when
was
you deal with
more,
a record company.
yeah,
You've
exactly.
seen it
So,
from both
all this
sides.
stuff, exactly. So it just didn't work out for me. But, I stayed in California since 85. And then I've been on the West Coast since.
Fantastic. Better weather.
But
And you
I
can
love
still
the
do your
weather out
music.
here.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It's better weather and you can still do your music.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I'm still writing, still singing, still playing, and I still got my dream, and I'm living my dream,
So you still playing around town, or are you touring across the country still, or is that
well, not
done?
right now. We're not doing it. Everything's on hold right now.
I know up till the world ended. were you still
We were
touring?
doing great. I was doing a lot of casinos, Vegas.
Oh, that's
and Washington.
cool.
And what's weird is because when I love playing original music,
Yeah.
But what's weird is when I play casinos, my thing is I play a lot of cover tunes because I gotta. I don't want to say pacify people. You want to make people happy.
You get them interested. So you give the people what they want. Then you sprinkle in.
So when I do the casino gigs, I do a lot of cover tunes. Like
Sure.
80s rock and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of Beatles, a lot of Stones, Airplane. I mean, you name it, I do it. Creedence, all that old stuff. But what I do to make it interesting for me, the only way I can play cover music is to take those songs and make them my own. You understand?
Absolutely. You got to put your own little twist on it.
So when I'm doing someone else's tune, basically, you know what it is, but I'm doing it in my style.
Of course, it's going to be flavored with a little Jay Gordon on there.
So I enjoy it. So the tunes that I do, I pick and choose very carefully, and I go, man, I dig this, man. Let's do it this way. Let's put it together, and I'm having a good time doing it.
Absolutely,
so
man.
We were doing that, and then there's I put together that big show called Guitars, Legends, and Rebels, and that's a 90-minute show. And what I was trying to do with that show, which I know will happen, it's a tribute show I do to the greatest blues and rock guitar players alive that changed the music world. So I start with Robert Johnson, Delta Blues, and then I go all the way to Black Sabbath. And I do 23 songs in 90 minutes.
Come on.
And it's pretty incredible. It's an incredible show. And it's not just a good show musically, it's actually educational, if you understand what I'm saying, because you get into history while I'm doing these songs. Like when I'm doing Hendrix, you see Hendrix, many pictures of Hendrix behind me on a big screen, and you see Jimmy, and then it tells you his life history, and it's really cool, And when I do Stones, you see the Stones. When I do Clapton, you see Clapton, and it's really like a multimedia venture. It's not just the music. You can see it on a screen, and I think it's going to do really well.
Yeah, that sounds like some good family fun. That's how moms and dads are going to get their kids into some classic rock music. That's one of the things I miss about terrestrial radio was giving a little history before I played the song, and that's what you're doing during your concert. You're going to be giving a little history as you're playing the song. That's a beautiful thing, man.
So it's full of history. It's historical and it's educational, and at the same time you're hearing great music. So it's a winner for everybody. The audience, for me, for the venue. I think it's going to be fabulous. So I got that thing going on, and then of course I do the blues thing, and and when I do the blues thing, that's a whole different thing. Than the 90-minute thing. And then when I do the casino thing, that's a different thing. So there's three things that I do. I do the casinos, cover stuff, and my 90-minute big show, which I think it would go over really big, like in, big theaters. You know what I mean? Big arenas and theaters.
Man, it sounds like a good night out. An hour and a half is a good time out with the family, with your friends. Now what?
So anyway, so I got those three things I do. I do the casinos, and I try not to play, small bars or anything like that. I'm just, I'm not into it. There's certain places, if I found a little place, there's certain little places I like playing because people really respect it and they dig it, and they appreciate what you do. So which is cool too. But mainly it's the casinos, the festivals, and that's really what I'm interested
Well, Jay Gordon, you got the freedom and the opportunity at this point in your career. You could do whatever you want. If you feel like playing at a little place, you play at a little place. If you feel like playing something bigger, you do it. Now, the Freedom Coalition Fest, that was canceled, but the Woody Stock Blues Festival, I hope that still goes. That's something that's coming up in October. What is that
October,
festival?
yeah, he's going to do that October 3rd and 4th. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. He's a pretty cool guy who puts that on. He's a nice cat.
Oh, that's a big festival out there in Arizona?
Yeah, that's the first time. Well, he's done it in California a few times, and I've worked with the guy in California 2 or 3 times previous in other years. And then he moved out to Kingman, the cat who's putting it together, John. And then, we talked and we were going to do it together. And then, since I'm endorsed by Gretsch, I also got him a couple guitars, to give away and stuff like that,
Fantastic. Well, I hope the fans
what I'm saying. So it was nice, because, we should all help each other, brother. I mean,
absolutely, man. Once you get to a certain point, you start to give back. that's what we're supposed to be doing.
So we were going to, after the set,
yeah.
Like I'm going to play 2 nights. So after the set on the 3rd, somebody's going to, they do it different ways. I think for $10 you buy a handful of raffle tickets. You get 10 of them or whatever. And after my set, you put them in a little bin, and I pull out the ticket, and somebody's going to walk away with a beautiful Gretsch guitar in a case. So it's cool.
That's fantastic.
So
well, I'm hoping that's. I'm hoping by the time hoping this breaks, that we get to break out by October 3rd. I mean, that's a good goal, and that show better go. I don't want to be stuck in my house any longer.
No, me either. So I believe that's going to happen. But meanwhile, I miss gigging because that's all I do. That's all I do is play. I don't do anything else. And I'm always talking to people. Like this interview with you, I've done a lot. Frank Rozak, he set up a couple. He worked the record when it first came out for about 5 months.
Yeah. And
it did real good, like you saw the radio. And if you go to news, you can read some of the reviews too on there.
Heck yeah!
If you're interested.
No, your website is very thorough, man. The bluesvenom.com. Go check it out. It's got it all.
It's still going to be revamped. There's a lot. I think it's put together really well. Sharon put that together.
Yeah, it's simple. It's easy enough to navigate through. That's for sure.
Well, the last one we had, a lot of people would say, I thought it was a great website, but people had a hard time navigating around. This one is kind of, like you said, simple, but it's there. But there's a lot of new stuff I want to put on. But the main thing is, like during this pandemic thing, I've been writing a lot of notes and, like a storyboard for this, for the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then about 26 years ago, I don't know, you know who Philip Walker is? Big blues man out of Austin, out of Texas,
I'm sure I can look him
recorded, up. Yeah, Philip Walker, check him out. He's shit, and he was really authentic blues guy. He's a great player, and he sang really good. And he toured all the time, and we became friends in Los Angeles. And in '94, I put out a record. It was Jay Gordon and Philip Walker. It was called Jaywalking, and it was a great album, And I kind of wrote these songs to fit him, like in a more traditional manner, And we did this record called Jaywalking in '94, and that's like what is that? 26 years ago, and
how am I getting so old?
Huh?
How am I getting so old? 20 years. Oh, no.
Well, anyway, so
yeah.
I'm gonna go back in and remaster that album. I'm gonna remaster the Jaywalking record, and I got a couple other bonus tracks that were laying around I didn't use, and I'm gonna put those on there. And I'm going to re-release the Jaywalking album with the legendary Philip Walker.
That is beautiful. What a great way to honor his legacy, man.
Oh, yeah. No, Phil's been around. You got to, check him out.
Oh, I'm looking. I'm looking at his page right now.
Lots of albums.
I know who that is.
Yeah. So, and it was a great album. Jaywalking was, that album sold well, and it got a lot of good reviews. And I miss Phil. Phil was a real good friend. He passed on, and I was friends with Albert Collins. I did a lot of gigs with Albert. Everybody in the blues world. I've been around, but Phil was a good guy. He had a club on the south side of Los Angeles called the Club 4. And I used to go in there with this guy named Johnny Terrell. I think it was Johnny T. He played bass with a lot of people for a while. And we used to go in there and we became friends. And then after a while, I would come down to see Philip play on the weekend. And it was funny, I'd walk in the club and he'd go, well, Jay Gordon's in the house. And he'd hand me his Gibson 335, He'd take his guitar off. I'd walk in. He goes, Jay's in the house, man. He goes, I'm drinking tonight. Jay's playing. So the next thing you know, I'd be playing all night with his band, and he'd be drinking beer. He'd be drinking beer and shots or whatever he was doing, and then I wound up working, and we became friends. And then it was funny, So he goes, "Oh, Jay, I guess you got a gig here for as long as you want it." And I said, so I wound up playing with Phil's band, and then then when he wasn't drinking, he'd play a little, and then he was great. He had a great voice. I mean, he's definitely an authentic blues cat, and he used to come to my house in Hollywood, and he goes, man, AJ, man, write me some songs. You got to write me some. You got to write me some songs. So I said, all right. So I wrote these tunes, and I played him about 30 of them, and he goes, man, I really dig these. And so we went in the studio and we cut that record. And that record almost came out on 3 different labels. But for business reasons, it didn't. And then Phil and I put it out and got big distribution on it. Did really well. But my publicist was telling me, he goes, that record you did with Philip, he goes, that's an iconic, and there's a lot of important people on that record. You got Philip Walker, who's definitely a blues legend. You got myself, I've been around. You got Joey Covington playing drums. He was the second drummer in Jefferson Airplane, and he played with Jefferson Starship. Joey's gone now. He's not here. He's on that album. Russ Green, he played with a guitar player, Hollywood Fats, and a bunch of other people. And there was a guy named Butch Black who played drums, and he played with Ike and Tina Turner and Ohio Players and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, that album is, there's some stellar people on there. So he says, you should remix that and put that out, man. He says, because he'll work it. And when I did put that record out, I didn't really have a good radio and publicity guy. But now I got Frank, I think a lot of good things would happen with that record because it's historical, and it's a historical recording. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
So, I want to put that out. And so, I'm going to be working on that, and then along with the documentary. And then also a book,
So
I want to do this book.
How far into that book are you?
It's funny.
Have it all outlined?
A good friend of mine, when we get together, he just asks me questions of my life, and he'll because I tell him all these stories, and then he remembers a lot of shit. He goes, "Hey, tell me about that time, blah blah blah," and then we'll talk about that, and we'll just record it. We'll just record conversations. So I think that book's going to be maybe 300-400 pages.
Jay Gordon, you're about to leave a legacy for the people, man. You've been doing it so long.
You know what's funny? Ever since I've been a kid, the only thing I wanted to do, it was weird, my grandmother, I always wanted to be like really, great. I just really wanted to be the best I could be as far as a musician, a singer, songwriter, and use, my capabilities of my talent the best I possibly could and make good records and share it with people, that was my mission. And, it ain't over yet, dude,
No, mission nearly accomplished. It ain't over till it's over, man.
It's I tell people I'm just getting started.
At 175 years old, you're doing great.
Yeah, I tell people, they go, Jay, you've been around everybody. You got 18 albums. I said, man, I'm just getting started now, bro. I go, now I'm primed up now.
About this time, I think you're doing the right thing. You're going to put your life story in book form and in documentary form and teach the kids what music's really like, man. How you do it and teach them. Make sure in that documentary you put down how to record in the studio live like you do. Put all the musicians in one room and let them jam, man. Let them get together and bounce off each other. That's how you make a record that's electric, that you could feel when you play it.
Exactly. That's how all records should be made.
Oh,
That's why it's funny. When all these Pro Tools and all these digital studios started. I mean, there's a lot of cool things about Pro Tools. Don't get me wrong.
sure.
I mean, you can edit real quick and do things. That's what's happening nowadays. But I still record analog, and then I bump it to Pro Tools.
Yeah, you got to keep in touch with the kids. There's definitely this new technology.
When you make records, right? When you're making records analog, the sound waves are long and round.
I know how to splice. I know what a tape to tape is.
But what I'm saying is the sound waves are they're long.
Oh yeah.
And round.
Oh yeah.
And they're picking up every little resonance in the room. The sound is but when you record digitally, the sound is transferred really quick, and when you look at it on a graph, they look like little pyramids. I mean it's clean, but you're still missing a lot.
Yeah, it's all compressed. You don't feel the warmth.
Exactly.
There's so much extra room noise that you're missing.
I mean, when you listen to an album, an LP on vinyl, yourself, when you listen to it, and then you buy that same album on CD and listen to it, it's different. I mean, I can hear the difference. Me, I can. Maybe most people can't, but I can hear the difference.
I remember when the radio stations switched to fully digital.
But anyway,
it wasn't the same.
But anyway, what you said, teaching the children, teaching the younger generation.
Yes,
that's a mission to me too. I think it's very important that younger kids that no matter what instrument they play, kind of go back and study the masters of where it all came from. And it all starts with the blues. It's the foundation. It's the tree of music in America. And it's very important to get that out to younger children and younger people of where American music came from. And that's a mission of mine. And I'm glad that you said that, because it's really, really important to let the younger generation know where it started and where it's gone.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of cats out there. They go, well, I'm a blues purist. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, right? Well, and there's a lot of like my music. I rock the hell out of the blues. So some guys go, what is that guy doing? What's going on with that? But the point of it is, dude, I'm trying to make it interesting, and I don't want you to fall asleep. So when you come to a Jay Gordon show, you're not going to fall asleep. My mission is to get, I want you to boogie. I want you to get up and dance and have a good time, But I slow it down, and I do a very wide, eclectic style of, from Chicago blues, Texas blues, to swing, to boogie, to rock, to funk, to fusion. You got to do it all, man. But music is a beautiful thing, brother.
Now, you've chewed a lot of dirt, and it has enhanced your playing, your style. Your style is an amalgamation of all the experience that you've had with all these different great musicians that you've played with. And it had to affect you. Just being in Chicago had to affect you. The home of the blues.
Oh, dude, I used to cut school, dude, and go down. It's funny. When I got a driver's license, this is funny. Because I played baseball too. I was into sports.
Yeah.
I played little league baseball. I played baseball. I played semi-pro ball. I was great. I was a really good ball player. And I wrestled in high school. Stuff like that. So I was pretty athletic. But the music took it all. Took all that away. Just washed everything away. The music just overpowered me. And I just knew that was my calling. But when I got a driver's license, it was funny. My grandmother bought me my first car, what was it? It was a 1967 Ford Fairlane. It was lime green with a white interior. There wasn't a scratch on it.
Oh, you never forget your first.
It was a cool car. Remember those cars?
Oh yeah, Ford Fairlane. Hello.
So I used to get up in the morning, man. Okay, we'll see you later. I was in high school, and I'd go to they'd be there at 8:00, and then you get out at 3:30. But a lot of times I'd take off at 11:30, and I'd just get in the car and I'd go down to the south side, I'd go hang out at the checkerboard or Teresa's Lounge. And that, that's where I met, Buddy Guy and Junior Wells. And, I'd be down there playing guitar all day, jamming with all these guys, It was a lot of fun, man. But, I had a chance to be around a lot of older players. And, like when I was 17, 18, I met Mike Bloomfield and Paul Butterfield. They were playing blues at all these colleges, and pretty interesting. Just interesting. I've been around a lot of guys that really did well, who never quit and never stopped, that were natural born players, you guys on that mission, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those are the people you looked up to, but how do you feel being the one that the kids are looking up to now?
I dig it. I like it. That's what I'm telling you. I think, the kids are the future of tomorrow.
Heck
so
yeah.
I'd like to see the kids of today go back in the past and, like I said, study the masters and learn about where it all came from to keep it. Because when I'm gone, I want to see this music continue on. Because it has a life of itself. I mean,
well, that's the power of a musician. That's the power you have, Jay Gordon, is to leave a legacy.
Well, hopefully that's nice you say that.
It's out there.
I like to think that.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
You've made so much, man. It's out there. You're leaving a legacy already, and you're not done yet. Not even a little. Not by a long shot. You're still going.
I told you, I'm just getting started.
Heck yeah! All right, my man.
I mean,
yeah.
It's been a journey. Everybody has a different journey. Everybody, like when one door closes, another door opens. I'm sure you heard that old saying, but
that old ditty.
The bottom line of it is, if no matter what you do in life, no matter what you do in life, try to do it to the best of your capabilities and never give up, because I believe once you give up your dream, you die, and you may leave this world unhappy because you didn't try to accomplish what you wanted to do. So it's very important, no matter what you do, like what you do. You believe in what you do. You believe in this show. You believe in interviewing people. You believe in talking to people to get to know what makes them tick.
Yeah.
So you're on a mission yourself. It's kind of like what I'm doing, but in a different way, So, the world needs guys like you, not just guys like me. We need radio personnel. We need personalities. We need people that are interested in keeping the legacy of music alive and well, and keeping it real,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like keeping it real, keeping the music real.
Absolutely, my man.
You know what I mean? No drum machines, brother. No synthesizers.
I guess there's a place for that, man. But I've never gotten into it. I do like watching a live band, that's for sure. Even being a mobile DJ as myself, it's nice to see a band play.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing like live music.
Yeah. All right, my man.
But like you said, there's a place, for everybody. I think I said that an hour ago. I said no matter no matter what type of music it is, I mean, there's an audience. If you create your thing, even a guy that does DJ, I mean, look at rap music. I mean, look at guys like Ice-T. I mean, I met him once in a bank in Hollywood. It's pretty funny. It was a good story. That's going to be in that book and in that documentary. But I told him my name was Cold Coffee. He was in Denny's one night. We met each other at the Security Pacific Bank.
Yeah. After
he got his first big royalty check, and he was standing in back of me. We started talking. It was really, so we kind of got to know each other. It was really cool, And then we would run into each other periodically in Hollywood. And one night he was in Denny's, with his crew, And I came in there. I said, "Hey, Ice, what's happening, brother?" And he says, "Hey, Jay." I said, "Man, I'm changing my name to Cold Coffee." I said, "I'm Cold Coffee, baby." And he said, "Jay, you're out of your mind, brother." I said, "Sit down and have some coffee." He said, "Sit down and have some coffee with the brothers." I said, "All right." I said, "But I'm drinking tea, baby. Cold coffee." Anyway, that's it. Pretty cool shit, I think so anyway.
Man, I'm sure you got stories for days and days, man. I love it.
But when I lived in Hollywood, I did have a straight job once.
Yeah.
And I worked for a company called Olson Stage Lighting, and I worked there for about 7-8 years. But I was still playing music all the time.
Yeah, that's an adjacent job. That's a job that a musician would have. Yeah. It's like working a guitar center or something.
Yeah, well, I worked for this lighting company, and I used to put down the Olson Lighting. They had a contract with the people that put the stars down on Hollywood Boulevard.
I don't know them personally, but I guess you do.
Yeah, well, that was Johnny Grant. See, Johnny Grant was the honorary mayor of Hollywood.
Okay.
And, with the Hollywood Reporter, and they'd put the stars down. So the company, I used to set up the podium and the red carpet and the microphone. I used to run the sound, when people would get a star. I put down, like Tina Turner, Michael Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on, I did all that in Hollywood. And, I'd set up the podium, the crowd controls, the red carpet. And then my job was to run the sound to CBS, NBC, and ABC. I had a little tape machine called a Nagra. You know what a Nagra is?
Nope.
Well, a Nagra is a portable tape machine. They call it a Nagra. And so I would set the line up, to their trucks. And then the sound you heard when somebody was getting a star down, it was basically my sound that was transferred, to NBC or ABC or whatever,
I just looked up
anyway,
Niagara.
I met a lot. I met a lot of people. But when the funny thing is, when I had that job, I'd set up the PA system and everything, where they would speak and all that. And I used to blast Jay Gordon music on Hollywood Boulevard before these events. No, before these events, right? People would be, like say, be there at 11:30 and see Tina Turner getting a star in front of Capitol Records. So we get out there at 6:30 in the morning, set everything up, and I'd be blasting my music. And I used to drive Johnny Grant up a tree.
Well, that's what you do, man. That's what you do.
No, he used to love me. He goes, man, who are you listening to today? I go, that's me, brother.
Yeah.
And I'd be blasting, just Jay Gordon music, albums demos I was working on, albums I had out. And,
Well, of course, man. You're going to self-promote.
I met a lot of cats, man, in Hollywood, from actors, very famous actors.
Yeah.
Because I worked, on a lot of film shoots. I went on a lot of film shoots. And I would, I wasn't the best boy or anybody on a set, but, I would do a lot of lighting for, cats filming, I'd bring all the, and it was a great job. That was the only job I liked other than playing guitar.
Yeah. I mean, you were in the right town.
I mean,
you got to meet a lot of people.
Gig. I mean, it was a cool gig, I met a lot of musicians, a lot of, a lot of actors,
That's cool.
And it was, it's part of what I did, and it was pretty funny. I could tell you some funny stories, man.
I mean, it reminds me of when I was living in Miami. I met a lot of people down there. It was great.
when you were in Miami, what were you doing?
I was born and raised in Miami. I was doing radio since '86, on and off.
Since when?
'86.
Oh shit, you're an old guy too.
51 years old. I told you that in the beginning. I'm not afraid to say my age.
I had to throw that back at you. I said, I'm going to get him before this ends. I'm going to get Dan. I said, I'm going to get him. I'm going to remind him, man. Yeah. But actually, you're a good-looking old guy, right?
Well, that's what. Hopefully, my wife thinks so. Hey, we'll see.
So, how many children you have, bro?
I got 2 little girls, man. One real little girl, and one that just made me a grandpa. So yeah, I'm getting older.
Oh, and how old is the youngest?
14.
Oh wow.
Yep, still here.
Well, that's cool.
And watching her grow, and she gets more amazing every day, man. We were talking about that magic that's in the world, where she started as nothing and became this wonderful 14-year-old girl. Wonderful.
Everything comes from nothing. But anyway. That's amazing. It is amazing, especially when you have a loving family,
Yeah.
That's very important, that people stay tight and, love one another.
Well, people are figuring that out, man. We're all locked up indoors together, so we better like each other. I know a lot of people are getting on each other's nerves.
Well, that's happening too. You know, that's not happening over here, but I mean, that happens. I mean, they say that. You know, it's really weird. They said a lot of domestic violence and stuff like that is kind of went up because people are locked up together. You know.
Yeah,
So
I've
maybe
heard that
those are
side of it too, man. I've seen that on my Facebook feed. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
So you've been in radio since '86.
On and off, yeah. Yeah. At WKPX
Wow.
88.5 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Was that a big rock station there?
Nope. It was a high school radio. I got out of high school and I said, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? Well, there's a class over there at that high school radio. So I went over there and started spinning some records. It was fun.
You know what's I wanted to bring this up since we're talking. When I first moved to Hollywood, there was remember Merv Griffin?
Yes.
Well, anyway, he owned this whole block on Vine. It was from Selmer all the way to Hollywood, and he had this big building, you know, where he shot the Merv Griffin show and all kinds of other shit.
Yep.
But they had these storefronts, and you could look at them, and they had turntables in there, and they had classes on how to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And so when I used to walk by there, I'd see guys in there learning their craft. You know, it was incredible. You know.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. I used to eat at this. There was a little fast food joint over there that I used to, you know, you get like an Italian sausage or a Polish sausage or a hot dog or something, and then I'd walk back and, you know, it was. I'd sit in front of the glass and watch these guys and talk to them. You know, they'd wave and I go, "Hey, play so and so." You know, but that was cool.
It is cool, man.
So
sometimes I think I'm too old for it. I'm not too old for it.
No, you're never too old. You're never too old to interview people, bro. And you know, as long as you got the gift of gab.
No, and playing music, that's the part, the DJ part. I'm still doing that. I love it.
That's cool. You do a lot of big house parties?
I do a lot of bar parties, those same bars that you won't play. I love them. I'll play them.
I didn't say.
I know. I'm messing with you, Jay.
But you know what? There was a place in California I used to play every Sunday.
Yeah.
And, you know, because every time we played, especially in the summertime, all the bikers, you know, just people that rode Harleys, people that rode, you know, rice burners or whatever. This place, the word got out, I was playing over there, this place was packed all the time on Sundays, and we had a blast in that place.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a blast in there. And, you know, it lasted like for 3 or 4 summers. And then the guy sold the joint, and then it was over. And when these other people took it over, the place became unfun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens.
But there are certain places, man, where you could just have a blast, you know, where people just want to hear great music and come down and really, you know, rock out and have a great time, you know.
Yeah, I'll keep doing it till it's not fun anymore.
Pardon me?
I'll keep doing it till it's not fun anymore.
I can't hear you.
I will keep doing it till it's not fun anymore.
Oh, yeah, you got to do it, man. It's cool. You get people together, you do your thing, and, I mean, that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
So how many listeners do you usually have on these interviews?
I don't know. Potentially millions, man. I never look at the analytics. But as we're winding down, I mean, you know, what's on the horizon? We already know that there's a book. There's a documentary coming. Jay Gordon's going to lay down his story in various media for the people to know, for the people to hear. Man, we've been talking an hour and a half, and I know we could still go another 3 hours if you wanted to. You got stories for days. I can feel it. But I think we're going to go ahead and wind it down. And usually, you know, if there's any particular avenues that you want to explore, or any shout outs you want to give, you could do that now for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I like to make one big shout out to all my friends, and I don't like to use the word fans because you know that sounds funny, but there are, you know, people that buy my records. I guess they're my fans, but to all the people that have supported Jay Gordon music throughout the years, who've ever bought, you know, a single, a download, an album, I like to thank everybody who has participated in getting the word out there about my music and buying my music and sharing it with people, because you know, it's all about the people. It's not about me. It's about people bringing people together. So I'd like to thank everybody out there who's and throughout the years, who've supported me and who've come to my shows and spend money, and that's important. And got a good brother out there, Patrick. I want to say hello to. He's part of my crew. And all the people that work with me, all the people that ever recorded records with me. Sharon, she's been quite supportive of what I do throughout the years. It's important, that I give her a shout out, and Patrick and Frank Roszak and everybody who's ever been a part of what I've done, because they're also helping keep my legacy alive because they're a part of making music with me. So it's not all about me, man. It's about the whole package of people. And I want to thank you for having me on the show and all the interviews that I've done, on radio throughout my history. I like to thank, I'm thankful for everything. And it's important to be thankful and humble and, for everything you have and everything that you're trying to acquire. And hopefully we're all trying to get to that one piece of health, happiness, and love, and prosper at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jay Gordon, you recognize it's a team effort, man. You've touched a lot of lives. You touched a lot of souls. A lot of people have been digging your music, and you've been digging other people's music, and you get to play alongside those people. That's great, man. You're leading a great life.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for having me on your program, and I had a good time talking to you, bro. Because sometimes I do interviews and they ask me the wrong things.
No, this is.
But I want to compliment you on keeping it rolling and keeping things moving. And I think you did a great job at interviewing me and bringing up certain things.
Well,
and
you made it easy on my end, man, because you came up with some great stories. And if I find something interesting, I'll ask you a little bit about it. You don't want to talk about it? That's fine too.
So what I want to ask you is,
please,
what do you have to say to the world? Not just what I have to say to the world. What do you have to say to Jay Gordon and the rest of the world out there on your feelings of where do you think the world was moving?
Oh, the way the world is moving in this particular moment as we're dealing with this pandemic, or in other respects? Oh, with the pandemic, I hope we're blowing it out of proportion. When I go out, I don't wear a mask, I don't wear gloves, but I am vigilant. I do stay away from people. I'm not shaking hands anymore. I've always fist bumped. I meet so many people every week, hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people in a week, and I shaking all their hands, would be detrimental to my health and possibly theirs. So I've been fist bumping, and I think the new thing's going to be finger guns and jazz hands. How you holding up? Jazz hands. Everything's good. So
there you go.
I'm vigilant. I feel like it's a little out of proportion, but once again, it's something that we don't have a cure for. I feel for the people that have died, but hopefully history will show, hey, we overdid it, and it wasn't that bad. So
that's right.
We'll break out of this real soon, man.
Well, that's a good positive message, my brother.
Yeah, I think about the people that have survived. There's a lot of people getting it.
Well, yeah.
But a lot of people are surviving. All right, as we wind this thing, go ahead.
Well, you want to wind down and then?
No, go ahead. Just ask me what you want. Ask me anything, man.
I was going to say to you, when you put this up, please let me know where I can listen to it.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely send you the link directly afterwards, probably the next hour or so. All right.
Yeah, because I want to share it with everybody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. I want to hear you. I want everybody to hear your thoughts on things and what's going on. And I feel like this is part one. Once we break out of this thing, I want to reconnect with everybody that I've had on this program, and I want to reconnect with you as time progresses.
Yeah, just Jay Gordon part one interview.
You got it right. All right. And usually I wind these things down with last words for the people. And Jay Gordon, this could be something that, words to live by, maybe something your grandma or your mama told you way back when, or just whatever pops into your head right now. Jay Gordon, last words for the people.
Well, I always say power to the people because the government works for the people. That's all I want to tell you. Power to the people because we are the people and we have the power to take this planet and to get rid of this pandemic and to live in a positive, peaceful manner worldwide. I'm all about world peace, and I'm all about music, and I'm all about bringing people together from all walks of life. And I wish everybody the best that they can possibly maintain and receive in this life. If you work hard for it, it'll come to you. So, I wish I had the power to bless everything and every living creature on this planet and every human being. To put the positive word of love into their spirituality. And that's where I'm at. I'm all about spreading the music, spreading the love, spreading the magic, and keeping all the evil, negative things that are in life away from me and others. So I think we should protect each other and love each other. And it would be nice if the world could come together like that. And I think there's more people in the world that are positive and that are loving than deceitful, negative folks. I think there's more loving people in the world, and hopefully that continues. And keep the blues alive, damn it.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jay Gordon. Yeah, I encourage you to check out Jay Gordon at his Blues Venom website. Yeah, it's Jay Gordon and Blues Venom. That's his latest project. The man will be playing as soon as we bust out of this coronavirus pandemic. He'll be playing at a place near you. And if it's not near you, you travel to him and you get some Jay Gordon in your life. You just spent a couple of hours with him, and it was wonderful, man. That was just scratching the surface. This man has so much historical knowledge of music. He's played with the greats, so many. And all that greatness brushed off on him and made him great. And I watch his videos and I see him playing his guitar, and you could tell he is loving it. He is fantastic, man. And that's just on videos. I haven't had the pleasure of watching him live. I hope that happens one day in the near future. Yeah, that's right. Jay Gordon and Blues Venom. That was a good one. I look forward to catching up with Jay Gordon as time progresses. All right, party people, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. I'm talking to you, the loyal listener. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Follow Keys Dan on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of keysdan.com. Follow Radio What on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of radiowhat.com. The music you want is on.
If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcasts on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening.
Radio What, the music you want, with some great quotes. One has a greater sense of intellectual degradation after an interview with the doctor than from any human experience. Alice James. The music you want, radiowhat.com.